Welcome to today's Inlet View. I'm speaking to you in June. And June for United Methodist clergy, pastors, and congregations is often a time of transition. Pastors JT, Isaac, and I were relieved and thankful when we found out we would not be making a transition this year, that we are reappointed to be pastors at Blaine Memorial for another year. And we're thankful for that and looking forward to what the year may bring. But we know some of our clergy colleagues and some congregations across the state are experiencing changes in their life this summer, and June is that time of moving. It's a time when churches wind down relationships with pastors that they have shared ministry with over the years, and when they prepare to receive the next one. And it's exciting and often sad, and there are all kinds of emotions mixed in with that. We know that life in general includes transitions, changes that sometimes we're excited about and sometimes we are not. And when we look to the Scriptures, we see that it's always the case that life is adjusting, moving on, transitioning. And so even last Sunday when we read from Acts chapter 20, right there at the end, Paul was sharing with the Ephesians, these people he had been in ministry with for up to 3 years, that he would not be back together with them again, not in person. And so this would be their final in-person goodbye. And here's how it concludes. When Paul had finished speaking, he knelt down with them all and prayed. There was much weeping among them all. They embraced Paul and kissed him, grieving especially because of what he had said, that they would not see him again. Then they brought him to the ship. There are times when life moves on and changes, and we may not love it. They grieved because of how much they appreciated Paul and the relationship they had, but they had to release him to the ship to go on to do what the next things that God had in store for Paul and for them. They had ministry yet ahead of them in the community of Ephesus. Well, they're human, and like us, they had mixed emotions. Transitions are oftentimes of both ending and beginning. There are also times we grieve because there's a loss of familiarity. We are accustomed to what we're accustomed to, and we get comfortable with that, and we want to sort of live with that. That's our normal stasis, even when the change may be good. When we look across the Scriptures and think about Moses, all the work he had done with the people of Israel to move them out of slavery, to help them through 40 years of wandering, always looking to get to the promised land, and then getting to the edge of it and peering across the Jordan River, but saying he would not get there with them, that they would go on their own. And they did. They were led on and began to occupy and lead the area that had been promised to them. And then Jesus, the ministry he had with his disciples, with the communities of Galilee and throughout Samaria, all the way down to Judea and Jerusalem, all of that ministry. And the disciples eventually had to let him go. He ascended to be with the Father. Another change, transition. And the church went on. More and more were added to the numbers of believers. And then Paul, who had been so vital to starting and establishing and developing churches throughout what was then called Asia Minor. And yet, at one point or another, he had to say goodbye to them and move on to the next thing. And even after Paul died, the church continued to grow. I'm bringing all this up today because we're thankful that the pastors are not in a time of transition, but we know several of our church leaders are, including Jane Sparks, who will retire in early August, and we will miss her greatly. For 19 years, Jane has been a significant minister among us, a leader among us at this church. And she has done various things from the BCLC to her present role as Director of Adult Programs, helping us to have ministry for people of all ages and being a great source of comfort and counsel and friendship and leadership among us. And we'll miss Jane tremendously. But we're pleased to announce that we will go through this transition well, as Mary Malik will be joining our team. Mary has been a lifelong career teacher, has done tremendously well in that work, both in Columbia and Georgetown areas. She is coming to us with that background, but also with a great background in church leadership. As a lay person, she has been involved with women's ministries, with family ministries, and it really connected with a church, particularly Shandon United Methodist in Columbia, where they've had a robust ministry for people of all ages. And so she brings that kind of experience and firsthand knowledge to us. So her leadership in education and her leadership in the church environment will be a great asset to us, and we're thrilled that Mary will be joining us August 1st. So if you know Mary, congratulate her. If you don't get to know her soon, you'll be glad Mary's coming. We've learned of a couple other changes among us. 2 of our pastoral cabinet members and their wonderful wives will be leaving our community. George, Olive, and Gail have been wonderful in how they have been engaged with our congregation, both as a pastoral cabinet member in George and as a lay leader in Gail. And just recently we found out that also Larry and Diane Kimmel will be moving. The Olives are going to the Maryland-Delaware area. The Kimmels will be going over to the Charlotte area. All being near family. Larry and Diane have been tremendous too. They've been a wonderful pastoral presence in Larry and a wonderful leader, especially in Stephen ministry with Diane. All 4 of these people have brought so much over their time here. I respect them all. I'm grateful for what they've done among us. I hope you'll take the time to thank Larry and Diane, to thank Gail and George, and to share with them your appreciation for what they've done among us, and to wish them well and pray God's blessings on their transition from here. One last transition quickly, just to remind you, Pastor Isaac was ordained, as you know, recently, and we're going to celebrate that. So we hope you have on your calendar Sunday, June 27th at 3 o'clock. Sunday, June 27th at 3 o'clock. There'll be an ice cream social in the Family Life Center. It'll be a great time to just congratulate Isaac and tell him how happy we are for him and how grateful we are that he has answered the call to serve God as an ordained United Methodist pastor. It'll be the beginning also later that evening on June 27th. Vacation Bible School will kick off, so it's going to be a fun and exciting time around the life of this church. Hope to see you Sunday, and please keep June 27th on your calendar. And thank you all for your faithfulness through the transitions of life, and particularly these transitions that we're in the midst of. God bless you all. Thanks.